how about telling us about your journey here at, to UDC? How did you get here?
Well, as I said before, I'm from Gary, Indiana. I went to Gary Roosevelt High School. It's the same high school that the Jackson family went to. Had to put that out there.
Honorary Jackson.
Yeah, Honorary Jackson. So I knew early on. I had this experience when I was in 7th grade. I used to go to the barber shop, and my mom would pick me up. Sometimes she would be like, 20 minutes. It would take her 20 minutes to get down there, so I would walk across the street to the Gary Public Library. I was like 12 years old. I hadn't been playing the trumpet like 3 years, so I just wandered over to the album section. And, you're impressionable, you're young, and I see this Dexter Gordon album called Our Man in Paris. And he's like coming out the phone booth, he got the cigarette, he got the trench coat. I said, man, he looks so cool, man. So like I checked that record out, and that was for me, that was the start of jazz for me. And so like I got into jazz, I really oddly started to listen to piano players before trumpet players. Like my first influence was like Thelonious Monk, and then I like singers. So I like trumpet players who sound like singers, like Miles and Terrence Blanchard, because the singers can convey that emotion. So I knew that I was going to play jazz, so I started to think like, okay, what school am I going to go to do jazz? And so my mom started researching and going through Downbeat Jazz Times, trying to find all the top jazz schools in the country. So we went through that hubbub and trying to like apply and started thinking about, oh my God, it costs so much money. And then as I got older and my interests started to change, I wanted to go to a historically black college, so I ended up going to Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia, the real HU. And I went down there, and so yeah, I don't care. But I went down there, and a funny thing happened, the jazz studies program got phased out. The summer between my freshman and sophomore year, so you really don't get into your major classes until like maybe second semester, sophomore year, junior year. So I didn't get to take any jazz classes. I was in the big band and stuff like that. So I came back and my advisor said, hey man, jazz studies is phased out, so now you're a music performance major.
Who was the teacher, who was the director at Hampton?
Well...
Or was there a director?
The jazz band director's name was Bob Ransom. He's still alive. He's still down there. Okay. He's over the engineering wing. But when he came back, I think it was only probably like maybe 6 or 7 jazz studies majors, and they probably did like a, how they do like a scan and see if it's worth having as a major. So they probably figured, hey, it's not that many people. So when he came back, I had to be music performance. So I was just like, I'm a jazz musician. Like, what am I gonna do? Like. So I was like, all right, I can't disappoint my mom and tell her that I don't want to be here. So at that time, that's what I believed. So I was just like, let me just stick around. So I stuck around, and I started moseying into this computer lab. And the computer lab had like, old Apples, and had keyboards. And so that's when I started getting into producing music, because my major got phased out. And funny story too, it's funny how life circumstances can lead you in another direction. Like when I was in high school, my trumpet got stolen when I was a sophomore. And I didn't have a trumpet for like 2 months. And so that's when I started to play the piano. Because I had to get it out. But I just didn't have my trumpet no more. So I'm like, let me just start messing with the piano. So that's how I started playing the piano. One of those unfortunate circumstances that you kind of turn into a blessing by just, let me just go over here and see what happens. So I said, okay, let me just go over here to this music production stuff. And I started doing stuff. I started producing some of my classmates. And the tapes started getting around school. It was like, oh man, I listen to this song when I go to bed. I'm like, wow, like, you really liked it that much? So that's when I started to really think, maybe I could do this producing thing too.
Oh, that's cool. How did you get to UDC?
Oh yeah, sorry. It's a long, bumpy road, man. That's why I had to go.
Okay, we're gonna get there.
I had to go over there. So I stayed in Hampton for as long as I could, and I didn't finish there. And I had a cousin who lived here, and he said, man, if you want to come up to DC, you can stay with me until you finish school. I said, for free? I was like, oh, great. So I came up here, and I bumped into Howard Franklin.
Also known as Kingfish.
Kingfish. I bumped into him at Twins. He said, man, if you want to finish, you need to come up to UDC. So I said, okay, because I was looking for the Cats. Like I knew in my heart what the Cats felt like. I didn't know what they looked like, but I knew how they were. I knew what they felt like. And I knew I had been around some places. I'm not going to name some places I had been, but I had been to some places, and these were nice people, but it didn't feel like home. So when I came up here to UDC, and y'all were having combo rehearsal, and one of the first things I smelled in the hallway was bacon. I said, man, this got to be home, man. I just came in, I peeked my head in the door, and like y'all were swinging, y'all were killing, and Jones was like right in the middle of it. Calvin Jones, late great Calvin Jones, was right in the middle of that situation, like cussing cats out. No, man, that's not it. Like just the passion and the fire, and like so I knew when I got here, I said, okay, yeah, this feels right.
It was the bacon.
It was the bacon. It was the bacon. I don't eat bacon no more.
BLT was Jones' favorite, his favorite sandwich. You know, you walked through that door, smelled bacon, you knew what was going on. Yeah, man. But anyway.
So I walked in his office. I said, man, word on around town is you the cat to see. And anybody know Jones, like he hates BS. You know, so you come with that, you leading off your conversation with him, you liable to get your head chopped off. He said, you believe that, man? You believe that brought you up here? But the cat, like, I was telling somebody, like, Jones and Corey became like father and mother while I was finishing school, because I didn't have no money. I told him, man, I want to finish, but I don't have any money. And Jones was like, man. So I was able to get the Phil T. Grant scholarship, and I was commuting 3 hours a day on the metro from Springfield back and forth 3 hours a day. But it's not a labor when you're doing what you love. You know, we don't get an opportunity to study with a master and just sit at his feet. And most of those classes, it was just me and Jones. So we would do string arrangement, big band voice, and all this stuff was just me and him. And we would be talking about life and stuff like that. So I was just like, UDC is home for me.